True lovers, does finding your soulmate ever feel like you're stuck in the world's longest checkout line with no snacks, no Wi-Fi, and apparently your person just took a detour through 5 reincarnations and a silent retreat in the Himalayas? Like, seriously, are they coming back with enlightenment or just oat milk? Hi, I'm Hein with Be Love Media. And today we'll chat about the juncture between the wisdom of the Taoteching, verse 32, and your love life. I'm passionate about guiding spiritual seekers, soulful romantics, and divine weirdos like you through ancient wisdom so you can floor your way into love without forcing a single thing. And if you stick around till the end of this video, I'll share with you the ultimate affirmation to attract your ultimate soulmate. Yes, the big one. The cosmic partner who doesn't ghost you on the astral plane. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video if your heart's ready to vibe higher and love deeper. So, those of you who are wondering why you guys should listen to anything I'm saying, this guy with his funny accent, you probably shouldn't, but you might want to listen to Lao Tzu, who wrote 2,600 years ago this incredible 81 verses of the Tao Te Ching in ancient China, in a time that was very dire and dark in ancient China, as it was named the Warring State period, where Chinese kings were vying for the control of the empire and were destroying lives around them with war after war after war. And he wrote those 81 verses and put them in writing in order for us, 2.5 millennia later, to find some wisdom juice in it and apply it to our own life. And specifically for me, I chose beginning of 2020, when I found my life shattered yet again with my 3rd failed marriage, going into my 3rd divorce. And it was through studying and immersing myself in these 81 verses and choosing to apply them best I could, best I knew how, into my life as a newly single person who did not give up on love, not even on the possibility of marrying a healthy partner, let alone a true love partner, and chose to apply it to my dating life and to attracting and choosing my ultimate soulmate. So I wonder if you guys can avoid some of the painful lessons that I had to go through by getting a nugget or two out of these videos. So here is verse 32 as translated by Stephen Mitchell from the Tao Te Ching. Verse 32, open quote. The Tao can't be perceived. Smaller than an electron, it contains uncountable galaxies. If powerful men and women could remain centered in the Tao, all things would be in harmony. The world would become a paradise. All people would be at peace, and the law would be written in their hearts. When you have the Tao, you don't need to talk about it. It's like a great treasure hidden in plain sight. Though the Tao is always present, you can use it however you want. If a ruler can hold on to it, the kingdom will remain whole. When the Tao is lost, the world becomes fragmented. The more laws and restrictions there are, the poorer people become. The more weapons are used, the greater the chaos in the kingdom. The more clever and ingenious people are, the stranger the world becomes. Therefore, the Master says, the Tao is always present within you. You can use it any way you want. Close quote. So how do you translate these mysterious, mystical phrases to our love life, to choosing a romantic partner, to our dating life? Let's check it out. Insight number 1. If powerful men and women could remain centered in the Tao, all things would be in harmony. What does that mean? Look for centeredness in a partner. Someone who isn't just running on impulse or ego, but who brings grounded energy and inner peace. You don't want someone who texts you good morning only because they watched a TikTok that said it's healthy. So it starts with finding what does that mean to you, finding somebody centered? Well, what does it mean for you to be centered, right? To me, what that means is that you go through life's ups and downs without you exhibiting those ups and downs in your emotions in a dramatic way. One of my favorite example was whenever something would have happened to in my ex's life, like she lost an item that she cared about, or somebody said something negative to her, or when she used to have an online business and somebody stole her customer. I mean, she would freak out. It would be like the end of the world. But worse than that, she couldn't recover from it. It would be years after that she would still resent the person who stole her customer, or the fact that she lost a necklace that she cared about. And that was an example of somebody who struggles with being centered and instead reacting to life's many occurrences. On the other hand, I recently was stopped by a police officer for speeding. I was in a rush in the morning, no excuses whatsoever, but I was in a rush in the morning, and sure enough, a few miles over the speed limit. Well, as far as I'm concerned, knowing that the police officer was correct, there's nothing for me to be upset, and surely there's nothing for me to be upset with the police officer. So he pulled me over, said, "Do you know why I stopped you?" I said, "Whatever it was, you're probably right." And he looked at me weird, kind of with a weird look, and because they're not used to that, right? They're not used to people being pulled over and feeling that they should be held account to their actions. And he said, "Well, let me check your information." Started writing the ticket, and I said, "Do you need a pen, police officer?" And he was like smiling and says, "Well, thanks for being cooperative," as in he's not used to that. It was a special experience, but it was for me more than anything an experience to practice that centeredness that we're talking about, right? Not getting upset. It doesn't seem like that ticket was ever processed because it's not in the system. So I don't know if he realized that I probably learned whatever lesson he wanted me to learn, or he just wanted to do me a solid. I don't know. But here's the point. Become that person so that you can find a partner like that. Number 2, when you have the Tao, you don't need to talk about it. Choose someone who lives their truth rather than brags about it. Love flows best in authenticity, not performance. If they say they meditate for 3 hours but throw tantrums in traffic, nah, true lover, that's not the vibe. There's something in spirituality study process that's called the peacock syndrome. Now, what does that mean? A peacock, as you can imagine, flashes their beautiful feathers to show off their beauty. And I remember when I started studying spirituality a decade ago, 2 decades ago, some of us go into that peacock phase where like, oh, I know so much about spirituality, and you want to show off that information and what you know and what you've learned, that's the peacock phase. And somebody who has the Tao says the phrase, you don't need to talk about it. So look for somebody who doesn't show off. There's nothing wrong with talking about it. Oh yeah, I meditate too. But pay attention whether they show off with it or they're genuinely excited about what they're getting out of it, for example. Or better yet, somebody who doesn't even brag about it. You gotta squeeze it out of them that they even have those spiritual customs. Number 3, the Tao is always present with you. You can use it any way you want, says the verse. Honor your own wholeness while seeking partnership. The Tao reminds us that everything you seek in another is already alive in you. When you're whole, you attract someone who's not your other half, but your divine mirror. And that was something very difficult for me to grasp. I heard many times in my life that first you have to be happy within yourself, you have to love yourself, and then you can find somebody who can do the same for you. And I'll be honest, I didn't get it. And how you know that I didn't get it throughout my previous relationships is because those relationships were filled with conflict and arguments and disagreements, and more important, inability to recover from it in a wholesome and genuine way after the fight was over. So I'll give you one example. When I was going through my process of healing, shortly before I met my beloved Rachel, I remember thinking about how I want to give flowers to whoever is going to become my partner. You know, I consider myself fairly romantic, and I was thinking, I had this thought, oh yeah, when I was visualizing that person coming into my life, and I'm like, I'm gonna give them flowers. And then I stopped and I said, well, hold on. Since there is no such thing as future when you study spirituality, and there is no such thing as past, there's only now. Why do I have to wait to have a girlfriend to give flowers? You might say, well, what do you mean? Of course you're gonna wait until you have a girlfriend. Well, what's wrong if flowers are so awesome and they are a sign of showing affection? What's wrong with showing that affection to myself? And I realized that the fact that I was thinking about giving it to someone else and not to myself must have meant that I'm still working on getting to the higher vibration of loving myself before I can love another. Guess what I started doing? I started buying myself flowers. I got myself at the time I was renting a room in somebody else's house in San Diego, California, where I lived. And I got myself a small vase or a vase, and I would buy flowers and put them in the vase for myself. Sure enough, at the time I was also studying Buddhism, and Buddhism teaches you the power of flowers. Why? Another lesson in that is that flowers remind us of the impermanence of life, but that's a topic for another video. So I started giving myself flowers, and guess what? I'm telling you, it wasn't more than several weeks or couple of months after that I was introduced to my beloved Rachel, and the rest is history. So do you love yourself? Do you have self-care routines? If you don't, get with it, get on it. That will make a big difference in your life and in your vibration. So here are the promised 10 affirmations of I am love. Declare these with your full heart, true lovers. I am the embodiment of love. I radiate love and attract love effortlessly. I am whole and complete in my being. I trust divine timing in my love journey. I open my heart to sacred connection. I am worthy of profound and soulful love. I honor my heart and its deep wisdom. I attract a partner who sees and cherishes my true self. Love flows through me with grace and joy. I am love. I give love. I receive love. All right, true lovers. If this video made you laugh, sigh, or whisper, "Oh my God, that's me," at any point, go ahead and like, comment, share, and subscribe. Because if you're gonna spend this lifetime waiting for your soulmate, you might as well vibe with us while you wait. Let's make the world a little more love-filled, one Tao verse and one laugh at a time.